And we are back. We are back at live from the Heartland on this May 4th. Happy May Day. A little late. We're very happy.
It's always May Day. All power to the people.
All power to the people.
Okay, we are very honored to have a band that has really swept around the country and the world, doing a great job. The Smith Westerns. And let's hear it for the Smith Westerns. Yeah. My first contact with these guys came back when my son Hal was in 8th grade, and they were doing a battle of the bands at Bell School, and there was this kid.
I'm not sure that they want to go there, Michael.
Who still has curly hair, but it was more like a curly afro, and it was big. And I said, "This kid is something else." And I have some photographs, which I don't think he's ever seen, but I got him. I'm holding him for ransom, and. And then a number of years later, they started playing around, and I have a son named Hal who was playing some music, and the next thing I know, he was touring around the United States and Canada, went to Europe, went to Japan, and I would run into these guys all the time, and I started listening to their music, and my son's no longer playing with them, but they're playing, and they got a couple of other guys with them, and I love them. They're a great band. So good morning to you guys.
Good morning. Good morning.
How about giving us a little history of how you got started, how you came together? Because what I first saw was a kids show, like a video of you guys playing a block party, and it was like for little kids.
Yeah, it's a very.
This is Cullen.
Yeah, Cullen.
This is Cullen Omori. We've got Cullen, Cameron, and Max up here. Up early, but evidently not playing early, okay? It's a different thing. They can sit here.
They're waking up.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's been a really long time. I guess a long time in the making. You know, we've been playing forever. We started playing when we were in high school together. And played like our first show, I think, at the Red Line Tap. Or no, not Red Line Tap.
No exit.
No exit. No exit. Is it? Did I get closer?
Stay there.
All right. It was.
Oh, you were at one of those shows?
Yeah. It was a long time ago. A long time ago.
I even remember that.
I don't know if we got pictures or video of that.
No, that was the first time. No, we were.
So, how old were you guys? When was that? High school, right?
16, 2007, 2008.
So, I forget what question you asked, Michael. Was it answered yet? Because otherwise I'm going to bogart you.
I was asking how they came together.
Oh, okay.
Well, no, I mean, we were just playing music. I think, when you're in high school or whatever, in grade school or whatever.
The three
when
of you went to Northside.
Yeah. You start to discover new music, and you start listening to new music, and you want to you're inspired about it, you want to create. So I think that we all started listening to new music and taking it seriously, and listening to a lot of old records and stuff like that, and kind of from that wanted to
turning
create,
into musicians.
Create something from that. Yeah, so that it kind of happened when we were all 16, and we would kind of share mixed CDs with each other of stuff we were interested in, stuff we were finding, and that's kind of how it started.
So can I ask? Let's see. We just heard from Cullen. So Cameron is obviously the next one I should go to because you guys knew each other longer.
Yeah.
And then we'll get to Max.
Yeah. I mean,
we have the advantage of brothers playing together, which is a huge advantage, right? I mean, truly, you don't have to leave your home to practice.
Yeah, exactly. It was like when we first started. It was,
you gotta get.
Turn it to you.
When we first started, it was me and Cullen just wanted to start a band, and we knew that Max was supposed to be the good musician guy.
All right.
So
I'm glad we got one who was supposed to be that.
Yeah. So we started, and then after we decided, after playing a few shows around Chicago for a while, we decided that we wanted to start touring and stuff. That's kind of when we hooked up with Hal as a drummer, and that started it up.
So, but you guys really did. You hit to my very amateur eyes, Max. It seemed like pretty immediate success. I mean, you had a lot of groundswell of support here in Chicago, and you really made good with that quickly, which I commend you for. But is there a downside to the flying about and being very busy there for a while when you're 16, 17, 18 years old? No, that's a different question.
I don't think there's really a downside. I guess you get kind of tired of being on the road and want to be back in Chicago. That's it, really, is being back,
just getting tired out. Because otherwise, it's wonderful. You're playing your music.
Well, Max, I got to say this. I think you had a relative who played for the Bears.
Yeah, in 23 actually.
And you actually are a really hot guitar player. I said to my son
thanks.
Katie the other day, I said, is Max better than you? And he said, oh, yeah, he's hot. He's the best. Where did you start learning to play the guitar? And what drew you to it?
It was pretty random. I think my mom forced me to play piano forever, and I hated it.
Oh,
So then I
good.
finally got a guitar and just started playing at school, I guess. It's self-taught. Didn't really have lessons.
Well, how about your other two guitar players? Where did you start picking it up, and what inspired you?
This is Cullen. Go ahead.
Max is pounding his chest like he did it.
I mean, yeah. I had never played an instrument until before we started the band.
That's actually
like,
Cameron.
I have like no formal training or anything like that, and I just picked it up, and then like Max showed me how to like play it, and that's basically where it started for me.
So you put the band together.
Cullen was about to answer.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that it was one of those things where I just like learned some chords, and I was trying to learn how to play other songs. I wasn't good enough to learn how to play other songs, so I started writing my own songs. I had the chords, and so I just would mash them together, and that was like some of my foray into like writing music, you know.
Well, I don't know the feeling, but I think that must be the coolest feeling of all.
Yeah, it's great.
To create your own music.
Yeah.
Well, before you if you don't learn it's like kind of like not learning the basics and just doing it, you know. It's I don't know what, like, I'm trying to come up like a good comparison, but I don't have one.
I mean, yeah, like when we started, it's easier to start writing your own stuff than it is to play covers, because I mean, like, it might be terrible when you first start, but at least you made it yourself. So it's like, yeah, it was like kind of like how we first started. Like we never did covers. It was just like immediately like hit the ground running kind of thing.
That's a good description.
I mean, it was terrible, but it
Max,
was just,
chime
you got to
in.
start somewhere.
So you guys, you started playing. You know, there's this thing. It's called the DIY scene. Do it yourself. Would you consider yourselves one of those kind of bands? Or what do you call yourselves these days? Or what did you call yourself?
I don't know. I mean, I think there was a time, when we first started playing music where we did do it all ourselves. Like Max would record everything, and we would all, kind of wood shop the songs in the basement at Max's parents' house, and then we would record it in the basement. And that was just because we didn't have really any support, like either financially or even just kind of like support in general to kind of put a record out. But after with this record, the new record, and the last record, Diet Blonde, we had support to kind of go in the studio and make it. So it kind of, I think we're rooted in DIY. I think elements of that still continue, as wanting to like not have a producer or something that like kind of like takes over the project. But I think that for us, we've evolved, I guess. I mean, right? I mean, like I think, I don't know what you would call it, but I mean, I think that there's this emphasis of, we learned how to play, or we were listening to a lot of like 70s, 60s, 80s, like 70s, 60s, 90s kind of guitar oriented music, and kind of always had this idea of we wanted to make some type of kind of pop music, or what we thought was pop music, and coming from that background and trying to make that kind of is what our band is, I guess.
You're going to hate yourself for saying that. No.
So the first album, you recorded it in Max's basement.
Yeah.
And your parents seem pretty supportive. So you had a nice scene. I know what it's like to have a band in the basement. And how did you hook up with HoZac Records? And how did that first album come to be? Talk right into those.
Yeah, that was, let me think. What happened was like we made like the little MySpace or whatever, and it was just like Todd from HoZac just found it and was like, he was really supportive. He got us like our first couple shows and like would book us on stuff, and like you kind of like I don't know, it was like that was like the learning, I guess. And then we sent him some of the new stuff that we would recorded, and he was like, I want to put this out. And so we were like, okay. And then so we had like the label or whatever, and then just recorded the stuff in Max's basement. He was just like, when we were done recording, and he just said, okay, well, let's make the record. It wasn't really like, it was never like, like a real formal thing. He was just like, we sent him the songs, and he was like, okay, well, I'm going to go put it on wax in a couple days, and then we just had the record done.
I was so surprised to find out you put it on wax, Max.
Yeah.
Talk.
Was that your idea or HoZac's idea?
To do vinyl.
At the time, everybody was using these CDs. Now, hardly everybody. Now, you guys, the younger bands, now they're putting out tapes as well as CDs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, HoZac, I think, started as mainly like a vinyl record label. I don't think they ever released CDs. That was kind of like their niche in like the Chicago scene. So immediately they put it on. Did we even get CDs from them ever? I think they only released it on vinyl.
Very later.
Yeah. That's like their thing.
And while we're on it, the latest thing is on Mob Pa Records.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then there's another one that was on Fat Possum. We'll get to that. Let's go through them. Let's actually talk about Diet Blonde.
Okay.
Well, let's after the HoZac record.
Can we?
I know when you hooked it. We're going to play something in 3 minutes, Kate.
All right, good.
I'm watching the clock. I know you got Hal involved. Hal being my son, and you went off with a guy named No Bunny on a tour. Tell us about No Bunny. Because he's like a guy who works here named Joe St. Charles, a fabulous drummer who dresses up in costume and has people in bunny suits. So I don't know if they're related, but tell us about...
Really a bad description of
No
what
Bunny.
Joe does.
So when I guess we met, Nobody's kind of like this cult figure, I feel like, in the garage scene or in the DIY scene or whatever, and he's been like making music since like 2001. And he's always on tour. Like, that's his whole thing. He's like,
he's out of Chicago?
No, well, he grew up, I think, in the suburbs or something.
Yeah,
of
now
Chicago.
he's in Oakland.
And then now he's in he's just like one of these guys that's always on tour, like super transient, and he
Super
needed,
transient.
like, everywhere. Like so.
That's a goal. Super transient.
But anyway, so he needed he's just one person that does it, but he always needs a backing band. So he took us on tour as his backing band. That was kind of our first time ever being on tour, and we went up to Canada, real short week. But for us who never had never been to Canada, like been to Wisconsin as like as like the most out of state we've been. It was a super good experience, and I think that was the first tour, and there was a couple others before we went and recorded Diet Blonde, but it was definitely being able to go and see that even if people haven't heard your music, that they're still receptive to it is like a very helpful developmental thing for us.
So the next album is Diet Blonde, and you hooked up with a company called Fat Possum, which I only knew from Old Blues Guys.
Yeah.
And they have some wonderful compilations of people. How did that happen? Eeny meeny.
Let me think.
The minutiae.
How did that happen? Yeah, just like through like the internet. They were just like they expressed interest in a record, and it was one of those things where we were still touring, and I don't think we had the material ready for another record, so we were still on tour, but they were always there, and were expressed interest in making a record. So when it eventually came time to make the next one, they were like the logical choice. And so, like they gave us the support so that we could, go into a real studio for the first time and have a producer and stuff, which was something we never had. And so that was like, a big step up from Max's basement. Like we went to New York and recorded there. And like all that kind of stuff. So like you have like technicians and all that, engineers and stuff. Which was like a big
Max, were
change.
your parents upset when your band moved out and moved to record in New York instead of the basement?
No.
They didn't care? Were they glad?
We're still kind of like, we still have drum sets there and are taking up space, so they probably still hate it a little bit, but I'm pretty sure they're glad we're not playing there every day.
Their
All right,
ears have stopped
You
ringing.
have a new album out, Soft Will, and it's Mom and Pop, and it's going to be released in June, but you did put out a single called Varsity, and we're gonna listen to that single. We're going to stretch out, take some deep breaths while the masses out there are listening to the Smith Westerns Varsity, and we'll be right back with more live from the Heartland and more of the S-dubs. So stay tuned here on the left end of your dial.
There it is. That sounds good. Yeah. Anything. Should have pulled those chairs out long enough. Semicircle. A little better. No, but we've got our own. And we're 5, 4, 3. Here we are back. I wasn't prepared. That was
Don't
cool.
ever say that on the air that you weren't prepared. Oh my God, Katie.
I'm completely uncool. That was Vanity.
No, Varsity. That's Katie. Katie wasn't prepared. Okay.
Oh, so
Vanity, Varsity.
unprepared.
That would be a good name for a new song.
That's psychologically meaningful.
Well, we're
what I just
talking with
did.
our friends from Smith Westerns, not the Smith Westerns, just Smith Westerns, recording artists on Mom and Pop now. And we're here with Cullen and Cameron and Max. So tell us
I
about...
appreciate you guys' artistry. That was a pretty gentle song, as I recall. I recall when I was close to you practicing, or it was a little heavier duty in my recollection.
They're
but-
older now. They're mellower.
Okay, then that's what I was checking. Is that true?
What tell us about the music, the current music, the new album?
So we the new album, I guess, it's kind of softer, but also, from, if you look at from our first record that we put out, in 2009, going forward, we played something like each year we played like something like 100. We played like 140 shows in 2011. It was nonstop touring.
That's amazing.
And then in 2010, even then, just doing opening for for bands that weren't even selling out rooms or anything. It was just like super small touring. But since 2009 was when we put the first record, the self-titled, and we just haven't stopped touring until up to 2012, and it was just almost every other month was a full slate of shows. So I think when you listen to the new album, you can definitely hear that we've played a lot. We've gotten a lot better.
No, you are good.
Oh, it's amazing.
Well, what was it like? You went to Canada, you toured around the country, then you ended up. I know you had a tour, which I think some people would think was a big deal. You were the opening band or the co-stars with MGMT, which is a band out of Wesleyan College in Connecticut, and they hit it pretty big. Was that a turning point? Was that a step up? We were always big fans of them, and when we were able to go on tour with them, it was great. And it was one of those situations where we went to Europe with them. We were following these these tour buses in like a small little van, eating saving our hotel breakfast, then carrying it into our lunch, and our so it was hoping for a big meal at night.
Exactly. The catering was the biggest meal, so you'd wait till then. But it was a great opportunity to kind of see how a big production works. Up to that point, we had done a couple tours with friends. Like we toured the band Girls and
I like
other bands.
Girls.
And so MGMT was kind of the first times where we started playing, at least, it was every night it was at least, 1,500 people to like 3,000 every single night. So it was kind of a good, I guess it broke us into, playing bigger rooms, which is something that, everyone wants to do, but like when you actually get there, it's, you need time, to
And then you actually came back, and I think you toured with Wilco, as I recall.
Yeah.
What was that like, a kind of country rocker band and you guys doing your music? There goes Max.
It was fun. It was cool to see them play because they're all really talented musicians. Probably the most talented musicians we've ever played with. And we played like kind of weird college circuits in the South. They were kind of like theaters and like stuff like that we never played before, which was really fun. Like
you like
towns.
it where people are standing and jumping around.
So it's kind of bizarre, but it's also cool. It's
But
weird.
playing with other artists like that, it rubs off on you, right?
Exactly,
I mean, you totally catch fire with your own.
Well, I saw you down at what used to be the Three Penny Cinema. What's it called now? On Lincoln Avenue, Lincoln Hall.
Lincoln Hall.
Yeah, that's a nice venue.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
And we know the kid who does the sound, and that was a fun show because everyone's standing up in there. What are your plans? Tell us about the new album and what you like about it, and what are your plans?
Well, I guess like for the new album, the best part
That's
for me
Cameron
at least
talking.
is everyone's so much better at what they can do now. So it's like you could do a lot more. When we went to record it, it was something
That's a cool thing to be able to say.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's true, and I don't know, just being able to we knew how the whole recording in a studio worked. So when we went back there, it wasn't like some new thing or whatever. It was like we kind of knew how to do it. So it was just a lot more fun. You could enjoy it a lot more. Because with the last record, with Diet Blonde, when we did it in a studio, it was kind of nerve-wracking because we didn't have that much time. And it was all new, recording into a big a big mix or whatever the hell.
Yeah, much more
whatever that is.
seasoned.
Yeah, yeah. I
Seasoned.
guess you could say
That's
that.
the word.
There's the word.
Seasoned.
You couldn't tell it by looking at them.
And
They're
you
still
gotta-
youngsters, but they're seasoned.
You got a video coming out. I know you have one video out. You got a new one coming out with this album.
Yeah, we just got the first edit of it, and it's gonna come out I think soon in the next week or so. So I'm pretty excited about that. I know that we've only had one video, one real official video for our band. So pretty excited that we're gonna have another one. Took 2 years to materialize, but finally happened.
Well, I got to say, I spent a lot of time when my son was touring with you guys that I would, every day after every event, I realized it was a new deal. I would go to YouTube and I would go for videos, and I would find, somebody with a little pocket camera, phone or something was shooting videos. And some of them were great, some of them were not so good.
Absolutely.
But I got to follow you day by day. And I remember how impressed I was when NPR simulcast your show at South by Southwest a couple years ago, and it was on. Get to watch you guys playing to a big crowd. It was cool.
Very cool.
What's the plans for the next tour?
I know there's gonna be a tour.
Okay, there's a start.
I don't know. I think the dates are still being worked out, but I know that we're definitely we're gonna promote this record. For Diet Blonde, we did maybe 2 headline tours and then 3 or 4 support tours, which are kind of the most grueling. But now I think now that we've done that, I think there's a real.
Now that you're seasoned.
Yeah. Now that we've been around the block a couple times.
Will this be your first tour as you the headliners?
No, not the first one, but it's going to be one of the few. We've done way more support than we've ever done headline, and I think we're all excited because when you have your own show, you just have more room to do. You kind of put on a good show because when you're opening for a band, it's like you're setting up behind their 20
stuff.
feet of gear or whatever,
Right,
and not that it's a bad thing, but it's totally different.
Well, all
different
three of
vibe.
you guys are smart Northside Chicago dudes who went to Northside College Prep, and then some of you went off to college for about a week. One of you went to Northwestern for a little while?
Me and Cameron both.
Yeah. And what are your plans? You think you'll ever go back to school, or you think that you're getting enough school on the road? This career is really taking you. I mean, it's a good deal. You're working.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's always been kind of let's see what happens. And so at the moment, I don't think we need to go back to school. But if this record fails, maybe, I don't know.
I think there's an entirely different timeline for this generation, Michael. Because there aren't any jobs anyway. They're creating their own job. Let them rip. In about 5 years, they might need to go to college.
You've got 2 other guys who play with you in the band now. Tell us about those 2 guys.
Well, we've got Ziad, who's an old friend of Hal's too. He went to high school with all of us. And then Julien is our new drummer. He moved here from Portland to play in the band. He was in an old band who are friends of ours called Unknown Motor Orchestra.
Oh, he came out of
They opened for us.
Nice band.
a while ago. I think one of our first headline tour off Diapolon, they opened, and then he moved here from Portland to drum for us. So.
Is he comfy in Chicago?
I think
so. Yeah.
Let me ask each of you who you think your biggest musical influence is.
Do you love that question?
You could name 2, but you got about 30 seconds to tell me. They're thinking. The Smith Westerns are thinking out their major influences.
And Michael James,
they always talk about T-Rex.
Their biggest over 70. Oh, bringing us to a new level. Fan.
Oh no, what do you? I don't have an answer. I always hate this question because whatever I say is like what they compare us to, you know. It's
right.
Like,
don't worry.
But
you got any bands you don't like?
No.
Oh yeah.
Confuse the issue. No. Who do you love? And we won't compare them. And nor will our very smart audience compare you to them.
I don't know. I know that for this record we're talking about, like I had Roxy Music was one of my kind of what I listened to a lot, like Brian Ferry and everything like that.
Max, what about you?
Gypsy was playing on the radio right before I came here, but I think Fleetwood Mac has always had like a little bit of thing, like the guitar and Fleetwood Mac and stuff. So.
Fleetwood Mac, and the first one you said was Gypsy. Okay.
I don't know.
Cameron's not taking sides.
Yeah, I like it all. You know,
big fan of music.
Big fan of music in general.
Well, we like you guys a lot, and we're really excited to get the album.
Best of luck, you guys.
Soft Will. Where did that name come from?
I don't think they could say that on the radio. I was right.
Okay. No, he's about to say something. Anyhow, these guys were, while I was down at South by Southwest this year, Bill Page, who does a radio show down there in Dripping Springs and was a neighbor of ours up here, he showed me a piece on Rolling Stone, did on you, and we wish you really well with your new album, and we are so honored that the three of you got up so early.
Yeah.
Max,
Let's
Cullen,
feed
and Cameron, Smith Westerns. You've been listening to the Live from the Heartland. Katie Hogan and Michael James, a whole lot of other people make this show possible. We want to thank them all. We encourage you to do good in the world because the world needs all the good that you do. Over and out. All power to the people. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
You're listening to 88.7 WLUW, Chicago Sound Alliance, broadcasting from the campus of
You did
Loyola
very
University.